Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 161. I'm your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it
Hey,
going, Gary?
what's up, man? What's up, everyone? Good to be back for another week. Getting excited for E3. So, yeah, let's get to it.
Absolutely getting excited for E3. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everybody happy Mother's Day out there. For those that, obviously by the time you see this show, it's going to be a day late, but make sure you do something nice for your moms today. Um, we actually don't have anyone else that's going to be joining us this week because, everybody is pretty busy these days. We do have some guests coming on next week, so you can look forward to that. But for now, it's going to be me and Gary on today's show. We do have a couple of things to discuss, not too much because, as Gary said, E3 is coming up, so it's not really going to be too much that is worthy of a discussion, unless you want to talk about rumors, in which case we'll talk about that stuff soon, but not this week. Yeah, we're going to just jump right into things. But before we do, as always, we want to talk about what we have been playing. So, Gary, how about you go first? Let us know what you've been playing.
It's been a slow week gaming wise for me, so I haven't really played much, but I have gone back to Assassin's Creed Unity because that was the one main game in the Assassin's Creed series that I haven't actually completed fully yet. So I definitely want to strike that off my list so then I can say once again that I've completed every Assassin's Creed game or all of the main ones. So yeah, that's all I've played really. I didn't get too far in that, but um yeah, that's about it.
Oh man, well, hopefully the game was stable this time when you played it. There's no issues, because that game had a horrible launch. So
Yeah, it had a terrible launch, but it seems like they've done a lot of work on it since then and it's performing good for me at the moment. So
So
that's
let me
all.
ask a question though: is this game better than Syndicate?
No way. Syndicate was pretty awesome. So I definitely rank Syndicate way above Unity. I mean, I'd say Unity is better than Assassin's Creed 3, at least. But it's definitely probably, it's probably at the bottom of the Assassin's Creed game rankings somewhere.
Hmm.
So yeah. So it'll be
Well,
like, second from last, basically.
well, maybe one day I'll try out Unity. Um, I'm way too deep in Syndicate now, but we'll see. We'll see. Um, so as for what I've been playing this week, yeah, I have been playing a lot of Syndicate. I actually just finished Assassination Mission number 6 with the bank job last night. Purposely taking my time to go through the game from top to bottom, collect all that I need to collect in the game. And yes, it's a very fun, immersive game. Has me very excited to see what Ubisoft does with the future of the franchise, as well as the future of the other open world games, which we are going to get into in a few of our topics later on. But great game so far. I've also had a chance to play Battleborn, and I actually have a review that I'm working on right now for the site, which you guys will see sometime this week. Um, the Battleborn game is okay. Although I will say this right now, I really think the Gearbox should have just worked on Borderlands 3 instead. This game, it is fun for what it's worth. It does require, you playing with other teammates. However, I will say that when I played the game for the very first time earlier this past week, I wasn't able to get any teammates, and I was able to complete a mission with 3 different bosses all by myself on the regular difficulty setting, not an easy difficulty setting or anything like that. So I think that's a little bit of the issue there. Now, last night I got a chance to play with a few other people, and the difficulty was definitely a lot more evident at that point because the bosses were more difficult. The objectives were just a little bit more challenging. And the people who I played with, though, they were not very good at the game. So, I had to carry through some people most of the time, and then when it got into instances where it was an objective that we failed, just like game was over, everybody went their separate ways. So the characters are okay. I guess they all have a little bit of personality, and they try to keep the humor that's already in a game, such as Borderlands. But to me, it's not really. It doesn't really seem like it's that much yet that I've seen of it to a point where I'm ready to say that I would recommend this game. I think if you're a fan of Borderlands and you want a multiplayer online battle, I guess they call it an online MOBA. If you want those type of games, you may enjoy this game. But to me, I don't really know if I would say I would recommend this game. Now that I know that Borderlands 3 is coming, and I would say if you're a Borderlands fan, you should just wait on that game. You don't need to play this game unless you have to play a MOBA. But there are so many other games that you should really consider playing. Another game that I did play was Overwatch. I played the beta this weekend that is free to everybody. If you haven't had a chance to play that, I believe today or tomorrow is your last day to do so. I will highly urge you to play this game. Give it a try. If you like multiplayer games, again, this is another online shooter, but the game is so much fun. The game is just the characters, you don't really know too much information about the characters, at least not quite yet, you don't. The game on paper looks like it's going to have less content than Battleborn because it's only multiplayer. I haven't seen anything about a single player component in this game whatsoever. But what I will say is the game is a hell of a lot of fun. And how they normally have in Call of Duty, where you have I guess, whoever gets the final kill, they have like a screen of that. In this, they have the play of the game or the player of the game, which is very similar. But I like how the presentation is. I like how the art style is, the graphics, and it's just like a fun game that you can get into. Now, in terms of the content, I don't really know how much content is in the game, and I do have a fear, much like I played Evolve in the past, Titanfall, wasn't a lot of content. So I don't know yet what the plans are, the long-term plans are for this game, but I will say that Blizzard is definitely off to a great start with the game. And I think it was a wise decision to have a beta because you now introduce the game to other people who possibly didn't have a chance to try it in the first place. So I would definitely recommend that you should check it out if you are in any way interested in a multiplayer online shooter. Like I said, it's free, but I think that period ends tomorrow, if not tonight. So you might want to jump on it immediately. Like if you're watching this show now, I would urge you, pause the show, download the beta, because it's going to take a while to download on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. It ain't no quick download. But do that immediately, check it out, and let us know what you think in the comment section. But I think it's a good time. If I had to compare that to Battleborn, I would say I definitely prefer that over Battleborn. But with that said, Battleborn is not a horrible game. Again, it's just a different type of game. But both games are worth your time. But if you only have a little bit of time, I'm going to tell you to play Overwatch instead. My personal opinion.
When does that game actually release? Is it this month?
Yeah, that comes out, I believe it's on the 24th of
okay.
Yeah, so it's at the tail end of this month. It was a very interesting decision for them to release Battleborn earlier this month because the game got delayed. So and I believe I said on the last co-op that it's very dangerous territory for that game to come out now because you got Uncharted coming out in a few days, and you also have Doom coming out a few days after that. So I don't really know if a lot of people are going to play Battleborn to that extent. I know it's a different game from the other two games I mentioned, but it's about having the time to play all this stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, Overwatch is definitely fun. I mean, I'm going to sit here and tell you it's a fun game from what I played so far. And, also it's a competitive edge to it. It's a game that you can actually play and feel as though you can actually rank up a whole bunch of kills. You can get mentioned. You can get it at the very top of the list. Not like Call of Duty. You got to have skill with Call of Duty because as soon as Call of Duty comes out, I feel like people rank up so quick. It makes it incredibly difficult for you to actually get a decent rating on those matchups. But again, this is a game you can jump right into. Maybe not be quite as skilled. The tutorial was excellent, so it's fun. But yeah, Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in trying Overwatch, so I might buy it when it comes out. We'll see.
It's worth it. It's worth it so far. But again, I have to see what the content plans are, what they have in terms of releasing, more content for it. Because right now, I don't really see anything that I can see that they're going to add to it yet. Uh, I will say it is worth picking up. I don't know if I would say it's worth picking up at full price yet. That's what I have to see. But will say it is definitely worth checking out if you like online shooters. Absolutely. Fun game. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we've been playing for this week. Feel free to let us know what you've been playing in the comments section. We're going to jump right into the main topics. As I already said, there's not really that much to discuss because everybody is getting ready for E3. There's not really too much news outside of rumors. And like I said, we will address that stuff at another time because more stuff is still coming in about rumors. So once we get all of the rumors that we know are actually out there in the open, we'll address all of them on the show. So look forward to that in the future. But for this week, first order of topic. So apparently WatchDogs 2 protagonist information has already leaked. Apparently there was an actor who plays the main character in the game that released some information on Instagram. We have a post on the site, which you could possibly see, which is also going to be in this post on our website. But pretty much the information that leaked is that it is a character of Asian descent. And, that's pretty much all we know. He has a baseball cap on and a bandana covering his mouth. Now, what little information I do know of Watch Dogs 2 from when I actually went to Ubisoft a couple, earlier this year, I did hear some information that this game is supposed to be taking place in San Francisco, which is perfect because that's where Ubisoft is based out of. So in my opinion, they have the source material right there to reference the city to make sure it's great. And as I mentioned earlier, Syndicate is so great with the open world aspects. This is why I'm very interested to see how this game turns out because, again, open world type of game, there's going to be a lot of stuff. I know Watch Dogs 1 was not a good game. It was a game that felt like it was a bit rushed. It didn't quite look as good as it looked when it was first revealed, also with the trailers. So I'm very hopeful that this one is going to be better. I figure the setting is already better. Not that I have anything against Chicago because I don't. But I just think that, based off of the reaction they got from Syndicate, I think a lot of people will give this game a chance now. But what are your thoughts on Watch Dogs 2 and going in this new direction and knowing that Aiden Pierce is not going to be in the game?
Let's see. I'm one of the few that actually liked the first game. Like, I recognize that it could have been way better and it could have did things better, but I actually thought it was a solid game. So I'm very excited for Watch Dogs 2 because I feel like they're gonna fix all the mistakes they made with the first game, and that this one is gonna be pretty dope because Ubisoft does a great job with Assassin's Creed. I really liked the Division as well. So I feel like with Watch Dogs 2 they can really hit a home run with this one. As for the character itself, I mean, not too much is known yet, but I guess it's cool, and it fits in with the whole it being in. Did you say San Francisco? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess it fits in with being in San Francisco because there's like a strong Asian community there as well. So yeah, I mean, the character has a gun also, and whereas, I mean, it's easy to explain why somebody's good at hacking and everything, but I hope that we get more backstory on, the training or the combat training and stuff. So, like, why is this character got a gun? Is he experienced using a gun? How does it tie into the story of things? So, that'll be interesting to find out as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to hearing more about this game at this point. So it's looking good so far, so good for me.
Oh yeah. Well, I know we had said in the past that Watch Dogs 1 possibly wasn't as good as it possibly could have been, but the sequel will definitely benefit from the criticisms. And I know that Ubisoft has done a good job sending out questionnaires, asking people, subliminally what they want to see in the next Watch Dogs game. So I think they are definitely committed to making a better game this time. I'm not saying that the first game was horrible. It wasn't. It's just that there are certain things about that game. Like, for instance, the main character didn't really seem quite interesting or appealing. That's one area that I would like to think that they will improve in with this new character. But obviously, again, there's no other information known about it. One question I did want to ask you is, what do you think with all these leaks happening so fast? It's just like Watch Dogs 2 has been acknowledged, but Ubisoft still, I guess they are waiting to E3 to talk about what this game is. But what do you think about all these leaks happening and then Ubisoft not doing anything, unlike a few other developers who, when as soon as the information leaked, then they just leaked the information. They just said, okay, here is the information.
Yeah, I mean, this always happens this time of year. Like, there's always a lot of leaks. Things always get out, early somehow. I guess you can't stop people from talking. People are going to talk about things, and then somebody else is going to talk about what they heard, and it's going to get out one way or another. But as for Ubisoft's approach, I kind of like that approach, to be honest, because now we might know about the character and what the character looks like and stuff, but we don't know the full story yet. So I think it's good that they're holding on to that information for E3, because then we'll still be surprised. There's still room for us to be surprised and excited once they do reveal everything that's happening. Whereas if they just give it to us now, we'll go into E3 already knowing what's happening with Watch Dogs in particular. And when we actually see it, we might not be as excited. So I like their approach, to be honest.
That's a very good point. Very good point. Well, hey, we'll see how that pans out. Definitely looking forward to hearing more about it. If any of you had a chance to play Watch Dogs, you are looking forward to. If you like the first game, you're looking forward to the second one. Definitely let us know what you think in the comment section about this game. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. This was obviously a big topic this week, though there was a couple big things, but this was one that I think definitely was a big deal. So we now found out that Mighty Number 9 finally has a release date. I believe the game is now slated to come out on June 21st, according to several sources that said, well, that's what the date is supposed to happen. So now I have a question, because I did ask a few people about this, but I now have to ask the question, is the game still relevant at this point? Are you excited for the game now that you know what's coming? Or do you think that time has passed?
I think the time has passed. Like, I mean, who's still excited for this game? I really want to know, like, who exactly is excited, because it's been delayed so much now, and like, there's I know some people would disagree, but there's this stigma attached now to Kickstarter games, and I've just been hearing more and more about failed Kickstarter projects where people don't get what they were promised, and all these things, and it's just it just kind of makes you lose your enthusiasm in these projects, especially like with Shenmue and stuff like that. Like, are we really gonna get everything we was promised? Like, is it gonna come out? Is it gonna be a dud? There's that aura of uncertainty there, and it just doesn't help that the game was delayed so much either. And to be honest, I mean, I don't see any hype for it whatsoever at the moment. And I mean, Mega Man fans, they're probably also Nintendo fans, and Nintendo's kind of got all the hype and excitement right now. So I'm not sure that there'll be as much excitement for Mighty Number 9 at the moment.
Well, I think the people who backed it through Kickstarter, they'll no matter what, they'll be looking forward to the game. So there will be some interest in it. I will say that, the developers of this game are also developing Recore, so now this makes me think Recore definitely is not coming out this year. Once I heard that this game, finally had a release date, it is coming out later this year. Well, next month, 21st. I said, okay, that's good. But then I instantly thought about, well, Recore, this is a game that they have already said it was supposed to come out in spring, and then they said 2016. Now my thought is that this game may not even come out this year. I understand it's not a Kickstarter game. Microsoft is helping them in some capacity to make sure that this game actually comes out, but I don't know if the game is coming out. We haven't heard any news about this game. E3, obviously we'll hear more. We'll actually see what it is, because all we saw was a trailer. We didn't see no gameplay, nothing. So I'm interested to see whether or not it actually comes out, but I don't think it is going to come out this year. As for this game, I personally thought that the art style looked fantastic. I think that the game it has potential. I was excited for it before, not really quite so much anymore, because it's been waiting a long time for this game. So I'm not really sure about that. But also, the decision to release the game on the 21st is a very interesting decision, because there's another game also coming out on the 21st that I think people might have forgotten about, and that is a game called No Man's Sky. A game that obviously has the backing of Sony. It has a ton of eyes on it. So I don't really know. Like, if you was to ask me which game will I play on June 21st, right now I would have to say maybe I'm a little bit more interested in No Man's Sky, because I want to see what all the fuss is about this game. I want to see what all the hype is about this game, more so than Mighty Number 9. But with that said, I will check out Mighty Number 9 just to see if it was worth the wait in the first place. Again, I didn't back the game, but I will definitely try it out. So,
yeah, I mean, I know there was a beta for Mighty Number 9 as well, but I don't really remember hearing any reception, or any impressions on that beta from people who played it.
Well, did the beta actually happen, or was that also delayed or canceled? That is the question.
I actually don't remember. I mean, I remember that there was supposed to be some beta. I think it was around Christmas or something. There was supposed to be a beta for the people who backed the project on Kickstarter.
Oh, okay.
I'm not actually sure what happened with it.
Yeah, I think that beta was. I mean, maybe it did happen. I'm not sure. I'm not really. Yeah, I think it was active. They took it down or something. I'm not really sure. I don't see any information for it right this minute. But I mean, again, I think they missed an opportunity to really, when they said that they wanted to make this game. I understand that when you put a game up on Kickstarter and you decide to, throw your money at it, that you are taking a risk, because there are very clear, terms that say on there that, that this is once money is exchanged, this is strictly between the developers and those who invest. You are entering into an agreement that the game may or may not come out, or it's just, that's how it is. But with that said, I think that they missed an opportunity by not reaching, staying close to those goals. I could understand if you wanted to delay the game, that's fine. But what we always say is, I understand when you put a date out there, a very specific date out there, and you will give someone the impression, okay, so it's definitely coming out at this time. If they just made a decision and said it's coming out in 2016, don't tell me when, don't say this date, this month, or whatever, I will be fine with that, because I'd be like, okay, then it could come out at any time in 2016. But they didn't really know. They had to go through a couple of different changes and processes with the development. So I think the game will still do well, because we already know that there will not be another Mega Man game. I mean, I'm pretty sure Capcom, they've had opportunities to bring this series back and give fans what they want, and they have decided not to go in that direction. They decided to make remastered versions of games that have already been released. So I would not be surprised if you'll see a little bit more collections, similar to what they were doing with Resident Evil right now. But I don't think you will ever see another Mega Man game, period. So those that have the very high as far as being Mega Man fans, they will definitely pick this game up and look forward to this game, because they know that there's not going to be another Mega Man game. But I think the game will still do well. I just I hope it does well, because again, people who invested in it, they deserve to get what they paid for, and that's a good game. I have no doubt that the developers are actually good at what they do, and I have no doubt that Recore will be a good game. I just don't think Recore is coming out this year. I'd like to be proven wrong, so we'll find out at E3 whether or not that's the case. But as for Mighty Number 9, we'll see. It did lose some appeal, but if the end product is successful, it's great. I don't think that's going to hurt it too much more than how it's already hurt. So we'll see how it turns out. But we'll see. So we're going to move on to the next topic. This is another topic that was a big deal this week. Respawn Entertainment, the makers of Titanfall, announced that they are working on a Star Wars third-person shooter action-adventure game. When they made this announcement, because a lot of people are aware that, EA is also working on another Star Wars game with Amy Hennig. Well, they clarified that to say that they're actually working on 2 different Star Wars games. So this is totally different from the game that Amy Hennig is a part of. And this is another game done specifically by the Respawn guys. Now, here's my question. Now, this was announced on May 4th, Star Wars Day, which is fine. It was a great announcement. Nobody saw that coming. But here's my question. Now, we know that Respawn is also working on Titanfall 2. Last time I checked, I don't really know how big that team is. And I know that Titanfall 2 is more than likely coming out this year. I would assume that this Star Wars game may be coming out next year. I mean, I have no idea when it's coming out. But my question would be, should we be excited for what this Star Wars game that they're making is actually going to turn out to be? And the reason why I asked that question is because I have to play in Titanfall. There wasn't a campaign for Titanfall, whatever. I know there's going to be one in the second game. But, I haven't really seen what they've been able to do yet as far as a campaign. So I'm a little concerned as to what this game is actually going to be. Is this going to just be another multiplayer game where, it has somewhat of a narrative, but it's just mainly a multiplayer focused game? I don't really know what that's going to be. But I would just want to ask the question, are you excited for this game? Do you have any high expectations from it because it's a Star Wars game and because Respawn is working on it?
Yeah, I think we should be excited for it, and the reason I say that is because it's not possible for them to make a worse game than Star Wars Battlefront. So I believe this game will be good. I mean, Battlefront, the actual gameplay wasn't bad. It's just it lacked content. Like, it was like pointless.
Yeah,
there was like no content at all. And I know that's the main criticism of Titanfall as well, the first game. But I think Respawn has learned their lesson, and Respawn have the influence of EA as well. So EA would have learned their lesson from from Battlefront.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is a third-person action adventure game, so I'm definitely expecting there to be more more hard work put into this. But it is interesting that they have 2 teams working on different Star Wars games, and they're both action adventure style games. I mean, I find that interesting. But there's a lot of interest in Star Wars at the moment with the movies, and then you got the Rogue One movie as well. So I guess because there's like so many different stories to tell in the Star Wars universe, I guess they feel like they can have multiple games on the go as well. But I just don't want it to get to a point where there's Star Wars OD, where we're just getting too much Star Wars content. Because right now it's like in the future, it's just like, wow, it just seems like way too much Star Wars for me to process. I mean, now there's 2 action adventure Star Wars games coming out, and I don't know anything about either one of them. And it's like, which one's actually going to be the one that appeals to me? Because I mean, I wouldn't call myself a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not hugely invested. I don't know everything there is to know about the universe. So like, which one is actually going to appeal to me? Which one should I buy? There's all these questions. So I think they have to do a great job with how they position and pitch these games to the audience and everything. And explain what the purpose is to have these 2 different games exist.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the ship has already sailed on the too much Star Wars content stuff because I mean, you're going to see a lot more games, just like the movies. You know, when I went to go see the Civil War this weekend, saw the Rogue One trailer. That's coming out later this year. You have the next Star Wars movie coming out next year. You have a Han Solo Star Wars film coming out also. You know, I believe in 2018, if not towards the tail end of 2017. So there's going to be a lot more games. Still don't quite understand or know what Visceral's game is. They're working on with Amy Hennig. I figured was going to be a third-person action adventure game because they kept referencing Han Solo, but I don't really know. I'm assuming we'll find out more about that at E3 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But going back to this thing, what worries me about this, Titanfall was, for what it's worth, a good game. It just didn't have content. There's no campaign, but the actual heart and soul of the game being the mech combat was fantastic. So I know they know how to make a game in which you're using technology or you're using different things to go against the bad guys. I know they can do a great job of that because a lot of the stuff that is being done now is borrowing from that. You look at what they did with Call of Duty Black Ops, and all these other games, these other shooters, trying to get the futuristic technology and the wall running and all this other stuff. So they definitely looked at what Titanfall was doing and said, let's add some of that to our game. So I could see that. But where I'm concerned is that, again, Respawn, they haven't yet made a game where they have a campaign aspect to it, and the story and what they passed for as a campaign in Titanfall was absolutely ridiculous because the story didn't make any kind of sense. The characters, you didn't really have a really full understanding of the characters or the motivations. And then at the end, when you either win or lose in the actual campaign they had, it's like the outcome didn't really make a difference. Similar to Evolve, where it really didn't make a difference because the monsters or the humans wins, that's it. It doesn't really show anything. They're still fighting at the end. Although when the monsters win, it's very obvious the monsters win because you people be getting killed left and right. So with this, I am concerned because, again, just like you said already, the Star Wars game we got, Battlefront, nothing but multiplayer, which is fine for some people. But then when you have the star of the Star Wars movie coming at you on Twitter asking where's the single player campaign, that's not a good look for EA. So I would like to hope that this game is going to offer more than just multiplayer. I know they can do multiplayer great, but it needs to be more than just that. I would say. And as a flip side to that, if it's a single player game like the game that we already know, we would assume that the Amy Hennig Visceral project is going to be, where it's mainly possibly going to be just a campaign, I mean, I'm fine with that too. I don't really think the multiplayer, I mean, it all depends. It all depends. Amy Hennig is a good storyteller, so she would thrive in it being a single player game, I would think, more so than a multiplayer game. But I mean, it really all depends on who is behind the project. I know that with Titanfall, these guys are great at making multiplayer games. I haven't seen what they're able to do with a campaign yet, so we'll find out in Titanfall 2, and maybe then I can say, well, this Star Wars project will be great. But as of right now, I just don't know what to expect, so I'm just going to sit back and see what else they say about it. No doubt about it, this is the time to be a Star Wars fan because you got movies coming out left and right. You got games coming out, and I think some of the games are going to turn out to be great. I just didn't think the Battlefront was that great because it lacked content. But with that said, if you do the content right, you give people enough, then they will definitely be, they will definitely enjoy it. But with this game, we'll have to see. I just don't know what to expect from it yet. But I am intrigued by it. But again, I just don't know what to expect. So we'll have to see how it turns out.
Yeah. I mean, I think because I mean, at this point, they've got everybody waiting on the Amy Hennig game. So, like, to me, it just doesn't make sense to throw another game out there and announce it now when everybody's already waiting for the other game. So my thinking is that maybe this is like maybe the Respawn one is going to be like a MOBA type game, whereas it will be third person action adventure, but it's more of a MOBA kind of game that's online multiplayer connected and stuff like that. Because then it would make sense where the Amy Hennig game would be like a full-on single player experience, kind of like Mass Effect or something, and then you'd have like a mobile multiplayer expansive kind of game with this Respawn thing. So that's what I'm thinking right now. Like it's got to be something like that.
That's a very good point. It could be that too. Definitely could be that. My other thing is that I don't really know how far along the Amy Hennig game is. I would think that game may actually not be coming out until 2018. And the thing about it is that if the Han Solo movie is this rumored Han Solo movie, well, it's not a rumor anymore. It's a confirmation. If this movie is coming out in 2018, it will make sense for this game to also come out at that same time because it could be tied to the movie or in some way related. But I don't know exactly what the game is they're working on and when it's coming out. I would think, though, that if this team is working on Titanfall now, it more than likely this game may be coming out before that other game. But I'm not sure. It could be a mobile though, but I just don't know. What I will say is that, I could potentially see them maybe tie in some stuff from Titanfall 2 into this game, since there's some type of cross-promotional stuff where I guess you can use a mech suit in the combat elements of the game. I'm not really sure how they're going to do any of this other stuff, but I figure we'll know more sooner rather than later because they got a lot to talk about at E3, apparently. We already know Madden. As far as the games coming out this year, we already know there's going to be Madden. Mass Effect was not coming out this year. I believe that's delayed until the first half of 2017. And Titanfall 2, which is definitely coming out this year because the toy fair that's coming out, that's going to be in New York, they already advertised, they've already had Titanfall 2 figures that you can buy. So I'm about 100% certain that Titanfall 2 is coming out this fall. It's a question of whether or not when this game is coming out, because this is the first time hearing about the Star Wars game.
I think because the next big Star Wars film is next year, so I think this game is going to be like a multiplayer game, and it will come out to coincide with Star Wars next year.
That makes sense.
And then the Amy Hennig game, if it's about Han Solo, then it will release 2018 probably to coincide with that movie. So
yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Because it makes sense on both ends. It's beneficial for both EA and Disney too. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. They have Rogue One coming out later this year, so I feel like they will have something out for that. But we'll have to see first, because again, I don't know how far along that particular game is. All I do know for a fact, though, Titanfall definitely, absolutely, positively, I will be surprised if that game is not coming out this year, because they already have toys out there in the wild. Todd McFarlane is actually working on the toy line, so I'm about 100% certain that game is coming out this year, no matter what. But we'll see. So that concludes this topic. We're now going to jump onto. We're going to start the main topic discussion, but we're first going to talk about each individual game before we pose the big question at the end. So first and foremost, Battlefield 1. That was revealed on Friday, the exact same day the Civil War came out. It actually, details leaked beforehand, but I guess they weren't very clear because people were still, a little confused as to what Battlefield it was. There were some screenshots that went out saying Battlefield 1984 or so on and so forth. But no, now we know it's Battlefield 1, primarily named that because it takes place during World War I. So what are your impressions or thoughts on the trailer that we saw for Battlefield 1?
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'm really excited, to be honest. I'm a big Battlefield fan, and I think it's pretty awesome that they can, go back in time and focus on, World War I and make it look exciting as well. So yeah, I really want to see what they can do with this, especially with because there's not too many games focused on World War I these days. I know there's been a few in the past. I think there were a good few in the PS2 era, not so much in the PS3 era because it was mainly like World War II and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be exciting to see, and I see they got horses and all types of they got the planes, all types of crazy stuff in there. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this. And I think if anybody can pull off, this setting really well, I think it's Battlefield. And they've had the Battlefield. I forget what they're called now, but they've had Battlefield games in the past where they've focused on, older wars like World War I and stuff like that. So I'm sure they can pull it off.
Yeah, that's possible. I will say this: when I saw that trailer, there was so much going on. I was just confused as to, my guess is that they will be jumping around to different parts of the World War One, maybe show it from different perspectives, because I was very confused with the settings that they kept showing. You see the horses and then all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had to look at, the fact that they have the Harlem Hellfighters in the game to some extent.
Yeah, that's dope.
That's awesome. The thing about that is, I saw the cover, I said, okay, this looks awesome. When I found out what it was, because if I could be very honest right now, I have not followed history to the extent that I don't really know about this particular regiment. So I'm very interested to find out some information about them, and basically do some more research before I know this game is coming out. But what I will say is that it was a bit confusing in the beginning, because when I saw that they were in the game, it was an announcement of a DLC pack that you would get for pre-ordering the game. And I thought to myself, well, are they in the game or is this a DLC mission? Then I saw that they have a deluxe edition that comes with the statue of one of those characters. And I was like, okay, so they must be the main focal point of the story in the game. Because why would you release a statue for a DLC, there's something that's only going to be DLC in the game? It doesn't make any sense. So my assumption that they do play a prominent role in the game, if not the main role. I'm definitely intrigued to see exactly what it is. I mean, again, when I saw the trailer, though, I said, this is cool, but man, it's so many different settings. It's like, I need to figure out exactly what the story is all about. Because, I mean, again, the details that we know so far is still a lot more that has to be explained about that also. So.
Yeah, the game I was trying to think about before was Battlefield 1942. But that was actually World War II as well. So yeah, I don't think they've actually done World War I before. So yeah, that makes it all the more interesting to me.
Yeah, I did see a couple of jokes online that I couldn't help but laugh because it's very entertaining. When they announced Battlefield 1, because everybody thought it was going to be Battlefield 5, they figure, oh, well, they like to go backwards with these titles. Just like Xbox 360 is now, there's Xbox One. Battlefield 4, now it's Battlefield 1. I thought that was pretty funny. But I mean, I can understand why it's the one when you're talking about World War One. That's a very significant reason why they said went with the one.
Yeah, I think when companies do stuff like that, I think it's like a branding gimmick, basically. It's like it will grab people's attention and get them talking. So it just makes it all the more exciting. It makes people talk about the game more, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it does sort of make sense because, World War One, Battlefield 1. But, at the same time, it does, there's that confusion there because, it's supposed to be Battlefield 5, but you're calling it Battlefield 1. So it's just something that gets people talking more, I guess.
Exactly. That's what that was done for, marketing technique.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm definitely interested in the game. Definitely want to check out and get more details about what the story has to offer. I think a lot of people will be more receptive because it's not really going in the other direction of another franchise that I'm about to talk about. So it is something different, something new. I will admit that I still absolutely am hoping that one day EA will consider bringing back Battlefield Bad Company, because that was, to me, it still has the great action of a Battlefield game, but it also has the humor element of it, makes it a little bit more, humanistic to a degree, because you see a lot more of a, some comedic feel, but then also characters you care about. I'm not saying that this game won't have that, because the other Battlefield games have had that also. It just felt like it was just a little bit more different with the way it was presented. With that said, I'm interested in this game. Definitely will check out more information about it at EA's conference, and then I'll make a decision as to whether or not it's a game that I want to invest in more time into. But I'm intrigued by it because it is something fresh, a little bit different. With that said, jumping into the other part of this discussion, there was also another game revealed this week called Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And for the most part, this is a game that is, again, it has a futuristic mindset, but a lot of stuff is going to be taking place, as they described it, within the solar system. So it's some outer space elements where in the trailer they showed, you're shooting at a guy in space, gravity floating around. And then people were also in ships out in outer space as well. So a lot of these elements look very, very similar to other games we have seen that had space combat before. But what do you think of this particular trailer that you saw in general? Right off, based off of how you saw it, and of course the decision that they had to of course have Modern Warfare Remastered only available for the $79.99 version of the game.
Yeah. Where do I start? Okay, so the trailer, right?
The trailer first.
The trailer was, I'm not gonna lie, it was intriguing. Like parts of it I did actually really like just seeing it go to space and stuff. I mean, that's definitely something we haven't seen in a Call of Duty before. So if somebody was excited by that, I would understand why.
Mm-hmm.
But and I like the whole thing that it's it starts off on Earth, like the battle goes on Earth, and then all of a sudden it's in space. So it just the fact that it's going to be kind of intergalactic, I guess that's a really interesting thing. But my thing is, like, we live in a world where Destiny exists.
Mm-hmm.
And Destiny did a great job. They perfected that kind of intergalactic thing, going to different planets and battling. So, like, how much are they going to pull from Destiny? Because the last game was a lot like Destiny as it is. So, are they going to basically copy that formula again for this game, and basically try and replicate what Bungie has done with Destiny? Because if so, I'm not interested, because the last Call of Duty game, that was like the first one I didn't buy in a long time, and I'm fine with that. I didn't miss it at all. So yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to show me something a bit more to get me excited to buy this game, and maybe they can do that at E3, but we just gotta wait and see where it goes. Because I mean, they always have these great trailers and showcases and stuff, but when it comes to the actual game coming out, it's always the same old Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
So is this actually gonna be any different, or is it just gonna be the same old stuff, just wrapped up in a new setting, basically? So that's what I want to wait and see. I want to see, like, how far are they going to push it, and how fresh is this game going to be?
All right. Well, I will say this of the trailer. I'm definitely, absolutely, positively not in any way excited for this game. What you said about them having these things they're working on, what I understand is that they have like a gimmick. I want to call it a gimmick that they have with all these games every year. When Sledgehammer Games released Advanced Warfare, which in my opinion was the last great game that they made for Call of Duty, it was their first game. Still a futuristic setting, but they had the fact that you had Troy Baker in it, and you had, what's his name?
Kevin Spacey.
Yes, Kevin Spacey, House of Cards. You had this guy as the protagonist. That right there was enough to say, oh, hell yes, I'm going to try this out because I want to see this. You pulled me in with the stars, still a futuristic setting. And that was that. With Black Ops 3, still a futuristic setting, but then they had this whole thing about the mech suit. And again, there wasn't really like no major star power. You had the zombies in there as well, and they had the zombies in Advanced Warfare. Another reason why those games were great. So, but with Black Ops 3, they basically did that based off the sole popularity of the Black Ops franchise. And that was what people was going to pick it up anyway. Oh, because it's Black Ops, I have to pick that up. With this game, the space thing is the main thing that is new about it. However, everything else is still in the future setting. It's still futuristic stuff. So to me, it doesn't really feel like it's a fresh, a fully fresh concept. And again, I feel that they are running out of gimmicks with the whole franchise because there's only so much you can do. Unlike Battlefield, who decided to go back to World War One, these guys still are in the future, stuck in the future. But when the games are too similar, it's like not really that much that you can look forward to. Yes, they had machines in Black Ops 3. I guess it was kind of like, I guess you want to feel like it's like a Terminator type of situation, which is fine. But to me, it's really not. Well, they haven't really said enough yet about this game. I know it's going to have a zombie mode. They've already confirmed this in the live stream that they had for the actual game, also around the same time this announcement happened. But I still do not see enough where I'm like, yeah, I need to pick this game up. I have to pick it up. And then again, with Battlefield coming out and it being something fresh, them going back to a different time period, possibly exploring a story that none of us haven't really heard or seen, it just looks like it's a lot better already based off of that. There's not really any major star power that I've seen yet in terms of the casting either. So I'm not really that interested in it. Now, with that said, we know Call of Duty is always popular. It always sells. So I'm pretty sure it's going to sell no matter what because people love Call of Duty. But in terms of the franchise, definitely fatigued to this point. I want them to try something different. I guess they figure the space is enough of a difference. But to me, it still is not really a big of a leap because it's still the future setting. It's still all this other stuff. So to me, it's not really, doesn't really feel like it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess you could say the trailer was okay. We'll see. But now here's the question. Now, what did you think about the Modern Warfare Remastered? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you said it's how much? Is it more expensive? Like, is it?
$79.99. The regular game costs $59.99. So essentially, $20 more will get you.
So you don't even get Modern Warfare with the regular game.
Oh no, you don't.
You only get it if you buy it. Yeah, I guess that is some BS. Come to think of it, like because originally I thought if you buy this game, you get Modern Warfare with it, and I thought, okay, that's actually okay because if you were gonna buy Modern Warfare anyway, why not just pay that price and get 2 games? What's wrong with that? But if they're locking it behind the more expensive version, then I guess that is I can see why people would be annoyed because maybe there's people out there who just want Modern Warfare Remastered because it was such an incredible game. So maybe they just want that, and they're willing to pay $20 just to get that. But the fact that they're locking it behind this 70 how much? 72?
79. $80 basically. $80.
Yeah, the fact that they're locking it behind this $80 package is that can be quite infuriating for somebody who just wants to relive that specific game again. So yeah, I mean, because even me personally, like I wouldn't mind playing Modern Warfare again, like the single player campaign, but I'm not gonna buy this game to make that happen because I'm at the moment I'm not interested in Infinity Warfare at all. So that can be quite infuriating, I guess. Well, what do you think about
it? There's always a chance that they'll probably release it later, but
I think they will actually. I think there'll be such a backlash that they will release it separately.
Yeah.
Probably not right away because they want people to buy Infinite Warfare, and of course they're going up against Battlefield, so they want their numbers to look as good as possible. So forcing people to buy Modern Warfare as well is gonna, boost them up a little bit.
I also believe if it hasn't happened already, I also believe that Microsoft will possibly make Modern Warfare backwards compatible, and therefore people who buy the 360 version of the game, they may not necessarily need to buy the remastered when they can just play the original game on their Xbox One. Um, but I mean, my thing is this: what I saw of the trailer, because there's only a very a little bit of what you see of the remastered version. Um, I really don't think that. I mean, obviously, Activision has a lot more to talk about in terms of this game and in terms of what's going on with that remastered edition. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But right now, I would have to say this is that I'm not really a fan of that decision because those that just want to play Modern Warfare, they should be able to just play Modern Warfare. They shouldn't have to, or you have to play Infinite Warfare. Also, if you're not interested in the game, it doesn't make sense. You shouldn't have to. People should have a choice as to whether or not they want to purchase both. Now, with that said, like you said, I believe that because they have to worry about Battlefield this year, which in my opinion, Activision probably isn't worried about Battlefield because they figure they're always number one. They're going to be number one again. I think that because of that, they possibly will try and do something because it is going to be backlash if there isn't already some type of backlash. But in my opinion, definitely shouldn't be forcing people to have to have to buy Infinite Warfare just to play another game because that's absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, to make some more money, $80, big difference from 60 for some. But to me, it's just ridiculous that they would even have that as an option to begin with. You're not really giving the consumer a choice. You're giving them a choice to spend more money to have both games if you want to do it that way. But I don't really think that's a wise choice. They should also be a la carte option if you want to just get Modern Warfare. But my guess is they'll have that eventually. But I would be surprised if Microsoft does not have a backwards compatibility version already good and ready to go. If not now, by the time this game comes out. Therefore, you don't have to buy the remastered. You don't have to buy the deluxe edition if you don't want to. And to me, I would think that possibly will help them if they did have that version because people they just want to buy the game. They don't want to spend $80 to have the whole thing because again, there's going to be a lot of other games that you're going to want to buy during the fall season. And I would not spend $80 on Call of Duty when I can be putting some money towards another game that I actually want to play. But aside from that, so we'll see. Not a fan of that decision. Not really impressed by the trailer either, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and see when they reveal more information to us at E3 whether or not the series is actually going somewhere. But to me, right now, I'm not impressed. To me, I would think Advanced Warfare was the last great game that they have made. So I really am not impressed. I have Black Ops 3, never play it. I played the campaign, but I haven't gone back to play the multiplayer. It's like, it's whatever. But we'll see what happens. So my final question though, now that we've addressed Battlefield, now that we have addressed Infinite Warfare, do you think that Battlefield 1 could potentially outsell Infinite Warfare this year?
I would say that there's a great chance, and I would say that this is probably the year where it has the best chance of that happening because I'm pretty sure we speculated about this last time when Battlefield 4 was coming out alongside I can't remember which Call of Duty it would have been that year. I think it was Advanced Warfare or something like that, or Ghost or something. I don't know, but yeah, I think if any year it could happen, it's this year because I feel like Call of Duty is slowly going out of fashion. Like obviously it was really dominant last generation, but I feel like the momentum is kind of slowing down and people are starting to be like, okay, this is literally just the same thing every year. I'm not entirely sure what the numbers were for Black Ops 3. I'm sure it did really well, but I don't think it did as well as previous ones.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel like there's and the fact that Battlefield comes out like every 2 years or something, like I feel like that helps them out a lot because it gives them more time to focus on developing the game, and it creates a demand as well for it because I think with Battlefield 4, more people tried that game than they did Battlefield 3, because it basically came out as the new generation of consoles were coming out pretty much. So I think a lot of people got into the Battlefield experience at that point, and I feel like a lot of them are probably craving a new experience, a new Battlefield experience. So I feel like the tide might turn into, you know, Battlefield's favor this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I also believe what you made a good point about the you know, the development cycle. Yeah, the not having a Battlefield every year is a good thing. I mean, we had
Yeah, we had Hardline, but
yeah,
that wasn't really,
that wasn't real. That wasn't a real Battlefield game.
yeah.
You know, the alternating schedules is a very good decision that they made with that. So I would kind of wish Call of Duty went with that as well. But I believe sooner or later they will, because now you're seeing a lot of companies are doing that. They're doing that with Assassin's Creed, which is why we're not getting Assassin's Creed this year, which is great. You know, you need to have a break to try and keep things fresh, try to keep people engaged. I do think that what you said about not knowing the sales numbers, I do believe that Black Ops 3 did well, but it did not do well enough for you know, to what they expected. And that is why they are now having this $80 edition that they're selling to push people to that, to get them to buy Modern Warfare to boost their profits. I do believe that that is the tactic because they figure that that'll get people more interested in it. But my opinion, the game itself still looks like the same Call of Duty. The futuristic elements still the same. The space thing, it is emphasized. But the problem is that this is only emphasized halfway through the trailer. It still looks the same up until that point. And that's the problem. So I think that, you know, if the game doesn't sell as well as they want it to this year, they may consider taking a break or completely changing up the series dramatically. You know, they do have this thing going where they have 3 different development studios every year working on a new game, but they have to change the philosophy of what they are offering the consumer, because all of the game, like I said, all of these games over the last couple of years is a futuristic setting. So I believe that this is Infinity Ward's game. I believe Sledgehammer is next up again. And of course, they made Advanced Warfare. So my guess is that the next game they're working on, I would hope that it's not still in the future. But I don't know. But I will have to agree, if there's ever a year that Battlefield can outsell Call of Duty, it would be this year because, number one, they're going back to basics. They're starting with World War I. That is intriguing. Number two, it's just like it doesn't come out every year. So a lot of people was waiting for the next Battlefield. So they will definitely pick this up in droves. And I think that that's going to be what stands out more so than Call of Duty. But, you know, we'll see, because there's always people that buy Call of Duty no matter what. It's the same game. They don't really care. They just like the multiplayer and everything else. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, where it's definitely interesting that Call of Duty is finally going into space and stuff. Like, obviously, that's, you know, it's definitely a talking point. But I feel like it's way more interesting that Battlefield has gone back in time to World War One. I feel like that's way more interesting than going into space because, you know, we all knew eventually Call of Duty would probably try and pull something like that, like going into space, becoming a space shooter or whatever. We all knew that that would probably happen, but we didn't expect, you know, Battlefield to go back to World War One, and there hasn't really been many games that have done that. So I feel like that move is much more interesting in itself, and that might get more people interested.
It
And
definitely is.
also like Activision has to really come up with a long-term strategy with Call of Duty, because if you just keep releasing these games year after year, people are gonna get tired. Like people are gonna get fatigued by this, and they're gonna stop buying the game at some point. So you need to really think about your approach with these games and what you're planning to do the next few years or so, because like the numbers are going to drop off little by little. Like people are going to be less interested in this game if you keep trying to force feed it to us.
Absolutely. Well, you know, in my opinion, what they should have done and what they could have afforded to do, Destiny could have been the game for the off year. Destiny 1 year, Call of Duty the next. That's what they could have done. But of course, two different franchises. I think Activision is starting to learn. They're just starting to learn what they're doing with Destiny, because there is no Destiny game coming out this year. Destiny 2, more than likely coming out next year. But it was going to come out this year. But I think that they know now, you know, we need to give it some time. Don't rush the game. So I mean, I would think that it would make sense to have that type of business structure. We're having Destiny come out 1 year, Call of Duty the next. But no, I guess they said Call of Duty hasn't come out every year. So maybe that will change after this year, because again, a lot of companies are not doing that. And I applaud Ubisoft for deciding not to release an Assassin's Creed game this year. They did release a little platformers earlier this year, but no full-fledged game this year, because they have the movie coming out later this year, which is going to be good, I would hope. But I'm glad that they decided, no, we're not going to have this every single year, because you have to have some time where people were allowed to miss the franchise and miss the game. Then when you bring it back, it's going to get a much bigger response. Plus, it would give the developers more time to fine-tune everything in the game and not release a half-ass game like they did with Unity not too long ago. So I think it's good to have longer development cycles for these games, especially with there's so much money being put into the game to begin with. But with Call of Duty, I don't know. And now that they have the competitive scene with the esports and stuff, I don't think that they're ever going to actually say, well, we're going to have a Call of Duty every other year. No, I think now you will definitely see one every year, since it's so big, so popular, so massive. But I say they just need to change it up. Don't always have the same type of game every year. Try to have something different. But we'll see. We'll see. Space combat looks interesting, but I don't think I don't really see enough of that to be like, well, the game is all space stuff. So I don't really know. But maybe we'll find out some more information soon, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I would love to see Battlefield outsell Call of Duty for a change. Looks more interesting, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much concludes our final topic for this week. Absolutely, as I said before, there wasn't really that much to discuss, because it seems like everybody is getting ready for E3. A lot of news is being withheld. You know, there'll be a lot of leaks in the next couple of weeks. But, you know, all news is being held until E3. So, you know, not really that much to discuss this week, but we do appreciate you guys checking out the show. All of you, of course, I'm pretty sure looking forward to Uncharted 4 next week. So we'll be talking about that a lot next week, I'm pretty sure, because we'll all have had a chance to play it in some capacity by then. But until then, you have any shout outs you'd like to give, Gary?
Yeah, shouts to all the listeners and all the supporters, man. And you know, make sure you guys leave a comment. We'll talk about your comments on the show and everything. Don't forget, we got the Patreon, where you guys can show your support for us if you choose to. And you know, there are benefits such as you get more tickets into our monthly prize draw. So like, you know, you get better chances of winning a game, brand new game every month. And you know, also we got like the Facebook group and everything, where we talk about things. You know, different staff members from the site will be discussing different news and rumors in there. And you know, if you are a supporter, we'll add you into the group and stuff. So yeah, I mean, just thanks for the people who have supported us so far and helped us to grow and get where we're at now. Shouts to everyone. Shouts to Wesley. Shouts to Corey Dillon. Shouts to Final Stage Boss, Gority, you know, M Collins, all you guys that support us every week.
Absolutely. Shout outs to all of you. And absolutely, definitely look forward to next week's show. We'll have possibly a few guests that you know, haven't been on for a while. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, you guys have a great week. Have a great rest of the you know, enjoy Uncharted later this week, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.